All right, I hereby call the April 27th meeting of the Public Works Committee of the Albany County Legislature to order. Would council please call the roll?
Sure, Mr. Chairman. Legislator Brewski,
Here.
O'Brien,
Here.
Bergdorf,
Here.
Cleary,
Mickey Cleary is here.
Fine,
Here.
Pearlie,
Here.
Peter,
Here.
Reinhardt, I see coming in.
Reinhardt is here.
Hello.
And Smith.
Here.
All right, 9 present, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you very much, council. All right, for our first item is to approve the previous meeting's minutes. And
Motion, Mr. Chairman.
Motion by Mr. Peter.
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Brian, old reliable. All those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say no. All right, thank you. Let's go on to item number 2, which is to authorize a lease agreement for the rental of retail space at the Times Union Center.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Bob Belber here from the Times Union Center.
Welcome, Mr. Belber.
This is a great opportunity, I think, for us to put some vibrance into a space that has had some issues in the past and will allow the restaurant to open not just on event nights, but also on other nights of the week and be open for lunches. Downtown could use some more places for lunches and for dinners for sure. They've got a great menu that they've put together, a lot of experience in the group. Gloria Herman, who has been involved with Tessero's Cafe in the past, and many people probably know Josh Schultz, who was the former bar manager at 677 Prime. And so this group brings together a nice amount of experience. The 2 principal owners, which are James Anilowski and Wendy Enright, are owners of Tech Forward, and they are current tenants that took over the radio station space.
Yeah, if I could just jump in here. Could we all just check that we're on mute? Thank you very much. Please
Sure.
Please continue, Mr. Belver.
And so this is the Tech Forward company that's been here now for approximately 5 years. They are a veteran-owned business, which has been certified federally. I think they'll have their state certification soon as well. But they're great people, and I think they're going to do a great job with this lease.
Outstanding. And for discussion's sake, I guess we could probably group items 2 through 4 together, those 3 restaurants. I see Mr. Reinhardt's hand, followed by Mr. Bergdorf's hand.
Yeah, my question is the first item, ASR Hospitality. Is their rental space, is it right on Pearl so that they'd be public facing even when there aren't events?
That's correct. They're in the space currently that shows as backstage bar. And so it's at the corner of Hudson and South Pearl, right in front of the building. And they have access to the sidewalk, and therefore it's open when the building is not.
Is this a change from the previous tenant?
Yes, the current tenant that operates it only on event nights is actually Aramark, which handles the concessions in the arena.
Okay.
It's a temporary alignment with them handling the space after Johnny Rockets discontinued in that space approximately 1.5 years ago.
All right. Well, I see that as a real plus.
I agree. I think this is going to be a great opportunity for us.
Well taken. Let's go to Mr. Bergdorf.
I was actually going to ask the same question Bill was, which was specifically, where is the space? And now I know the answer to that. And I think it's great that we'll have another establishment downtown. When do they hope to be up and operational, Bob?
Well, with an approval of the legislature early next month and a contract that hopefully can be drafted and signed by end of May, we would like to be able to let them in and get some of the cosmetic changes that they want to get done and operational things in place so that they could actually start as of June 1st.
Okay. Now, when they talk about the amount of rent in terms of years, year 1, 24,000, year 2, 30, when does when does that start? Year one starts when they open this year?
Correct. So the first payment would be due on June 1st at the level of 2,000 per month. So the first year, the first 12 months would be at 2,000 per month, and it will escalate each year through the 4 years, and then the 4 and 5 would be at the 3,500 per month. And then on the 5-year renewal or mutual option to renew, it would be already preset at the 3,500 highest amount.
So essentially, this is with the option to renew, it's a 10-year lease?
It's not a sole option for the tenant, so it would have to be mutually agreed to. So therefore, it's a 5-year with a mutual option for 5 years.
Okay, and do you have any concerns that if it's wildly successful, that for years 6 through 10, you're at the capped out rental? There's no escalation?
You know, I don't think that I'm concerned about the escalation not being there for those years. They're going to probably struggle, as we all know, coming out of this pandemic. You know, there's not a lot of activity in downtown currently. There's not a tremendous number of events booked yet, although with the capacity of sellable seats being increased recently, we're aggressively trying to find additional events that can be booked, albeit with only 3,400 seats that we can offer. So for the next year or two, I would think that this operator is probably going to have a little bit of a struggle. And if we can get 3,500 a month from this space when we've had some struggling times with prior tenants, I think I'd be happy with that.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. O'Brien,
Make a motion, move this, please.
moved by Mr. O'Brien, seconded by Mr. Cleary. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed say no. That carries unanimously.
Thank you.
Did we just
Mr.
move
Bell-
all three or just the first one?
Oh, that's a great point. Could we get a motion to group these as a unit?
Motion, Mr. Chairman.
A motion to group items 2 through 4 together by Mr. O'Brien, seconded by Mr. Peter. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say no. All right, and then we have Mr. O'Brien's motion to move, seconded by Mr. Cleary. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say no. All right, that carries unanimously. Mr. Belver, is now a good time to go with those quarterly financials for the TU?
Sure.
Okay.
So the statement that you probably have in front of you is through March 31st, 2021. And if you go right to the year-to-date column for the year, the actual versus the budget, the actual numbers right now are sitting at a loss of 584,040. The budget for the year was a loss of 860,109. Part of the reason for the budget being at that level is we expected not to have any events until April. And quite frankly, that's going to be off the mark because nobody knew when the pandemic was going to be done. So we are 276,000 ahead of budget, but that's, in my opinion, that's a misnomer because we didn't have events in April. We won't have a lot of big events in May. We have some events. St. Rose and Siena will be having their commencements here. We have the arena football team that'll be starting up on May 29th with their first game, albeit with a 3,400 capacity. I'm thankful that we have the 3,400 capacity. At one point it was only at 10%. So effective the 19th of May, it actually goes to 25, which gives us what we need. So we're thankful that the state gave us that. We are hoping that the Venue Shield program that we put in place with many safety protocols for people as they enter the building and social distance seating and so forth that we've put together, that we hope that they will expand that capacity in time as well. And when it's appropriate and when county health and state health feel like it's appropriate. And then we can offer more seats to sell, which would bring bigger events in and more frequent events into the building.
Mr. Bergdorf has a question.
I just have a question. Were those financial statements somewhere on the Granicus agenda?
They should be in the minutes section. Where did I go to find them?
Yes, Mr. Bergdorf, they're located in the minutes section. That's where they've, where we traditionally put these. I did send out a reminder message in Zoom as well, but that's where you
This
can
would be
find it.
for the top item,
Oh,
item number 1.
Okay, I got it. I
All
just
right, thank
didn't,
you.
I wouldn't have looked in last month's minutes for the financial statements that we would discuss tonight. Okay, thank you. Is that
All
where we
right.
will put them in the future as well?
Yeah, that's where they've been in the past as far as in previous months and years. That's traditionally
Okay.
where they've been put. If the committee or the chair of the committee would like to have them placed separately, we can display them however the committee would like.
I think as long as we're being consistent, we can all find them. All right, thank you for that, and thank you for your presentation, Mr. Belber. Let's move on to item number 5,
Thank
which
you.
is actually maybe first make sure were any other questions from the members? All right. Item number 5 we have is amending resolution number 487 for 2020 regarding the professional architecture and engineering services for various Albany County projects.
Yes, this is just a time extension for CT Mail. They are the architect and engineer of record for the Times Union Garage project that's going on right now. We're just starting to go into phase 2 because of delay of with COVID and with certain things put on hold. They're looking for. This is going to be right through September of 2022 for the completion of the garage renovations.
Thank you, Commissioner. Any questions from the members?
Quick,
Mr. Bergdorf.
Dave, so this is a time-only amendment?
Correct. Yes.
So this goes back to the which fiscal year? Which fiscal year's money are you spending? With
Well,
this
this is they had a term contract from 2018 through April of 2020 on this contract on an architectural engineering contract for various county properties.
Right.
So we put them in charge of the Times Union Garage under that contract. So it's
Right.
it's still under the first contract, and it's being paid out of the bond HKUY, which was a engineering evaluations engineering and architectural bond that we took out back in 17, 18.
Okay, so this is not touching the appropriation for 2021.
No,
That
no, it is
Still
not.
available.
No, this is under a bond. This was done under a bond that we did years ago for various engineering projects to get them off the ground, get them started, get them moving.
Okay,
Okay, so this
All
is
right.
the final thing that's in there.
that's my question. I wanted to know if we were expending 2021 monies, but we still have the money that we approved in the budget for miscellaneous architectural issues.
Right, but it would have been approved under the capital plan.
Right. So this was baked into the bond issues from 18 to 20.
Correct.
Thank you. I appreciate the clarification.
All right, do we have a motion to move the item?
A motion.
Motion by Mr.
Second.
Smith, seconded by Mr. O'Brien. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed say no. That carries unanimously. All right, we're moving right along to item number 6, which is amending resolution 233 for 2019 regarding engineering and construction and consulting services for innovation at the Times Union Center.
Yes, we had started a project for the locker rooms and dressing rooms at the Times Union Center with Architecture Plus as the design and construction management and administration services related to it. They did the design. That project was put on hold at the time. The Also, the codes had changed in 2020. So we need to bring up the bid doc. We have to rebid this project under the new 2020 codes. And they've agreed to come in for an appropriate $16,500 under their old contract to bring the construction documents up to the bid practices, so we can get this back out for bid and start this project. This project too is also 20% CFA grant on this project for the locker rooms. So I think the sooner that we get this started, to get that 20% locked in, we'll be better off.
Outstanding. Any questions on this one? All right, a motion.
Motion, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Peter, seconded by Mr. Reinhardt. I see a hand. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say no. And that carries. All right, we are now on to item 7, authorizing the agreement with Patterson Stevens regarding the Phase 2 Times Union Center parking lot, parking garage remediation.
Yes, this we rebid we put the Phase 2 out for bid. They were the lowest responsive bidder, so we'll be changing actually construction companies from Phase 1 to Phase 2. With structural, I believe, engineering was the record of repairs on the garage. Structural preservation. So they overbid, and this company has won the contract for bid. We'll be starting this as soon as we get the contract in order.
All right, Mr. Peter.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Commissioner, just a quick question.
Yes.
Has the engineers of note signed off on Phase 1 to make sure that all the repairs that were, supposed to be done during that phase were done to their approval?
Yes, that
before
will be
comes in?
CT mail that's why we're, CT mail will be going in before structural preservation leaves the job, making sure that they have accomplished everything that they were supposed to, and that it's under warranty. I know we have a little bit of a problem with a couple of things that they're looking into right now, but CT mail is on top of them.
Good. Thank you, Commissioner. Appreciate it.
Mr. Bergdorf.
Dave,
Yes.
how does, you said this was the lowest responsible bidder and they underbid the existing contractor.
Correct.
What was the difference in the bids?
The difference in the bid was a little over. It was over $300,000.
Wow, big number.
Yeah. Yep. It was a big number. It's a very reputable company as far as garage repair goes, Patterson Stevenson. So we don't have we're saving quite a bit of money there.
Did you have the big number covered in your bond issue?
Yeah, we actually had we actually at one point, if you look back at the resolution that's in the package, there was a $6.2 million that was estimated, 6.772 for this project. I don't think we're going to be even close to that when we're finished with this project. The first phase was 3.5. We're coming in at 1.4. We have some elevator work to do, which is probably another $700,000 for the elevator. So we're going to be well within the bond amount.
Okay. And is Dave Riley on this on this call?
Yep.
Dave, if we come in $1 million under, what do you do with that?
On this particular project or just in general?
Well, on this particular project and in general, because I know sometimes you save it.
Sometimes if we have an additional project that would fit under that scope as per the capital plan and all that, we can use it for that as long as it fits under all the originally approved criteria. Otherwise, it would get moved into debt reserve.
Debt reserve. Okay. We don't prepay any debt?
No, we don't. at least since I've been here, none of the debt that we've been issuing has been callable, so we can't prepay.
Okay, thank you.
All right, seeing no other hands up, do I have a motion?
Motion, Mr. Chairman.
By Mr. Peter, seconded by Mr. Reinhardt. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed say no. All right, that's another unanimous.
Thank you, Chairman.
All right, we have, thank you, Commissioner. We have item 8, which is authorizing an agreement with Gorman Brothers, Inc. regarding hold-in-place recycling projects for county roads located in the towns of Byrne, Knox, Rensselaerville, and New Scotland.
Hi, Mr. Chairman. Good evening. This is our yearly roadway maintenance project that we perform on roadways that are in worse shape than needing just an overlay, but not in such a bad shape that they need full depth replacement. We've been using Gorman for over 26 years. They do a very good job on this. We're going to use this treatment on approximately 7 miles of county roadway. Once this treatment is done, we come in with our hauling and placing and we pave over the recycled pavement that Gorman creates. So we're asking for authorization to move forward with this.
Thank you, Commissioner. Mr. Reinhardt.
Yeah, Lisa, I feel like I keep bringing up the same subject. Is this a sole source or was this competitively bid? It mentions that there was approved contractors and I saw that there were 2, but it wasn't clear to me whether we actually got quotes for this work or whether we just went to Gorman directly.
We went to Gorman directly since they were on state contract and they've just been performing very well over the years. And so this was not competitively bid and it hasn't been.
Are they the only local vendor who can do this work?
That I'm not 100% sure of.
I would prefer that we get multiple quotes for jobs like this. Even though they've done a good job, we can factor that into the evaluation. You don't have to go with a low bid, but it seems to me that we should, wherever we can, get multiple quotes. I mean, if you look at some of the earlier item agendas, the variation in pricing was significant. And
yes.
You're never going to know that unless you get the quotes.
Yes, that's a very good point. This is the only contract that we do yearly where we don't get a large contract that we don't bid out. So I will look into if there, who else is local, but Gorman is a local company and they work very well with us as far as making sure we get the most bang for our buck. All I want to follow up with is just say, when somebody does really good work, you can always factor that into the evaluation. I don't believe you should ever be feeling like you have to go with the low bid, but I also feel like we should always be getting quotes where we can, because you never know where we may save money. And that's what we ought to try to do. Yeah. Point well taken.
I see Mr. Peters' hand is up.
Yeah, I just want to mention that when something's on state contract, as having run entities that have to decide whether or not to do multiple bids or state contracts, you have to look at, generally speaking, previous bids you got in and the time saved by going state contract rather than go RFP, then potentially have to go back to state contract, and also the work being sort of guaranteed when sometimes construction projects going out very quickly. It's hard to sometimes get contractors to agree based on a tough RFP schedule. So I don't want to discount state contracts, which typically also look at lowest bid in order to get some of those state contracts. So I just want to put out that there's a balancing act to it with understanding what Mr. Reinhardt's saying, that you have to be careful not to overly rely on it. But there is a reason to that there are things on state contract, and it's to avoid the RFP process by guaranteeing sort of a relatively low process and a guarantee of service. And with that, if there's no further questions, I'd like to make a motion to move this along.
Mr. Bergdorf, I see your hand first.
I was just actually going to echo what Matt said. Basically,
Oh, we keep agreeing. It's so weird.
That's
Like
okay.
a Burr Hamilton thing going on.
You're a facilities guy. I appreciate that. But when someone competes for a New York State contract, the stakes are very, very high, because you're not just competing for 1 or 7 miles in Albany County, but you may be competing for 500 miles in 12 counties. So people really have a tendency, in order to get onto New York State contract and get unit pricing, to do it well. And at the Dormitory Authority, we used to do this with what we called term contractors, where we had people bid in unit prices, and it was a very, very competitive market. And then our people could go out and save 6 months off the bidding process. And, labor rates change once a year in June, et cetera. When you rely on the New York State contract price, especially if you have good performance, the competition is sort of baked in. So I was kind of trying to echo what Matt had said.
Outstanding.
Can I clarify something then? Are we saying that if we go to if Lisa goes to the state contract and she finds Gorman and let's say one other company from Colony or somewhere local, and we want to compare those two, they don't actually provide a quote. We simply go to the unit pricing that they've already provided and we make a decision based on that?
Well, it depends. So we've been using Gorman for so many years that the process that we've been using is we have a set amount of money that we put into our budget each year to use cold in place recycling for. It's $950,000. Gorman will go, they will do an analysis of our roadways in advance to determine what specific mix of asphalt emulsion and crusher and such that needs to be put into each of the roadways that we plan on doing each year in advance. So the price, I don't know the exact answer for the question that you had, but they perform like a very specific service for us to make sure that based on the deterioration of our roadway, what mix is going to work best for this specific roadway. I'm not sure if the other companies do that, but I will look into it and I'll have an answer for you.
Okay, thank you. Because I mean, that would clarify whether essentially they've already done a competitive effort in coming up with their pricing that we look at, on the state contract.
Mm-hmm.
So, okay, thank you.
Yep.
All right, thank you. Do we have a motion to move the item?
Motion.
By Mr.
Second, Mr.
O'Brien, by Mr. Peter, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed, say no. And that is carried. Now on to item number 9, which is authorizing an agreement with Tracy Road Equipment, Inc. regarding the purchase of 3 Hyundai HL 940 Alpha wheel loaders.
Yes, so this is for the purchase of 3 new wheel loaders. They're used in the wintertime to basically load salt into our vehicles and to move materials and grade the roadways during the rest of the year. We are going to be replacing some old outdated ones. We're going to move one of our older ones to a new salt shed that we constructed in New Scotland and auction off the other 2.
All right, outstanding. Any questions from the members?
Motion to move it, please.
Motion by Mr. O'Brien, seconded by Mr.
Second.
Cleary. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? No. All right, thank you. That is carried. Item 10 is authorizing an agreement with Newcastle Paving LLC for hauling and placing of asphalt concrete on various roads in Albany County.
Hi, yes. So this is our yearly hauling and placing contract. This is funded by CHIPS money. So this is 100% state funded. This Newcastle was the low bidder on this contract. It's for paving 25 miles of roadway And interestingly enough, their low bid was only $20,000 less than the second bidder out of a, almost $2.7 million contract. So it was a very competitive bidding on this project. Typically Callahan gets it, but Newcastle came in and got it this year.
Thank you, Commissioner. Let's go back. Do I have any motions from the
Motion,
membership?
Mr. Chairman.
By Mr. Peter, seconded by Mr. Smith. All in favor, say aye.
No,
Aye.
Mr. Chairman, I'm gonna have to abstain from that.
All right, we have all ayes with Mr. O'Brien's abstention. Any noes? All right, your abstention is noted, Mr. O'Brien. Thank you for that. And now we're down to our second to last item, which is authorizing agreement with Tiger Corporation regarding the purchase of a hydraulic boom.
Okay, yes. So this is for the purchase of another piece of new equipment. It is a large tractor with an arced boom arm on the side, and it's meant for mowing over highway rail. So this will be replacing one of our outdated mowers. It really helps us with productivity to have this kind of a machine. So it is an expensive machine, but it allows us to do work more than twice as quickly.
All right.
Mr. Chairman.
Motion by Mr. Peter,
Second.
seconded by Mr. O'Brien. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed, say no. Also unanimous. And then our last item is authorizing an agreement with the Capital District Transportation Committee regarding professional transportation, engineering, and planning services.
Yes, so this is for a renewal with Capital District Transportation Organization. So each year we spend $30,000 for the services that Capital District Transportation Authority provides for us. An example of what they do is each year they go out and they do a road survey of our roadways and rate them based on condition. That helps us to determine which roads we're going to put on our hauling and placing and cold and place recycling lists for the following year. They also happen to be helping us out this year with a trail feasibility study along the New Carner Road, Watervliet Shaker Road area. So those are just examples of the services they provide us with. We can call on them whenever we need, pedestrian studies, pedestrian counts, various studies that have to do with transportation.
Thank you, Commissioner. Any motion from the membership?
I got a quick question, Mr. Chairman.
Sure, Mr. Bergdorf.
Is this a new contract or is this an extension?
It's an extension. So we do a 3-year term. And so this is the renewal of our 3-year term.
Oh, it's a renewal of a 3-year option. Okay, thank you very much. I'll move
Yes,
it.
a motion by Mr. Bergdorf, seconded by Mr. Reinhardt. All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say no. All right. Thank you, Commissioner Raimundo. Thank you, Commissioner Latina, Mr. Riley, and Council for being on the call. That concludes our agenda. Do I have a motion to close the April 27th meeting of the Public Works Committee? By Mr. O'Brien, seconded by Mr. Reinhardt. All those in favor say aye.